Welcome to Haunted Screams. Tonight's story is perfect for those late-night listeners who love slow-burning suspense with a hint of rural dread. These stories are meant to help you wind down, but be warned, some may leave you wide awake. If you enjoy unsettling mysteries and quiet horrors that unfold far from the city, stay with us until the end. And if you have a story of your own, something that happened on a holiday or in the countryside, share it in the comments. Rachel told her uncle about what they had seen. He listened, his gaze fixed on some distant point beyond the porch. As the day wore on, they heard the occasional knock on the house, but each time they went to check, they found nothing outside. They ran to check it. The screen was filled with static. Had it been tampered with? Tom wondered. Disappointed, they returned to their seats. That night, with the camera set up and running, they settled in to watch a movie, pretending the previous day's events never happened. Every creak of the house, every rustle of leaves outside, sent shivers down her spine. Suddenly, she heard it, the sound of footsteps on the back steps. She peeked through the curtain. A tall, dark figure was walking towards the shed, her heart pounding in her chest. Rachel grabbed a flashlight and crept downstairs. She had to know what was going on. She slipped out the back door and walked slowly towards the shed. As she reached the door, she stopped, took a deep breath, and pushed it open. Inside, rows of tools hung from the walls, and boxes were stacked neatly in the corner. But her eyes were drawn to something else, something that made the hair on the back of her neck stand on end. Someone had pinned a note to the inside wall. "You're not supposed to be here," it read. Rachel stared at the message, her mind racing. Who was this person? Why were they here? And what did they want? He looked at her, his face drawn and haggard. "I need to know what's going on," she said, her voice shaking slightly. After a long silence, he finally admitted, "Last year someone trespassed onto the property. I saw them. They left strange signs around the barn. I was afraid." Her uncle didn't argue. He seemed relieved. To this day, Rachel doesn't know who or what left that note. The footage from the camera was gone, wiped, and the boot print in the mud had vanished by morning rain. But something she'll never forget. That feeling of being watched, not by something supernatural, but by someone very real, who knew that farm better than anyone. "I didn't want you to know." His eyes were filled with fear now. "But what did they look like?" Rachel pressed. "I couldn't see their face. It was dark, but I think..." He stopped abruptly, his eyes wide with alarm. "I think what you saw last night might have been them," he finished lamely. Then suddenly, 3 distinct knocks came from the back door. Tom got up to check, but there was no one there. He looked out into the darkness, half expecting to see a shadowy figure melting away into the night. Rachel joined him, her heart pounding in her chest. They stood there for what felt like hours, listening to the crickets and the distant hoots of an owl. Finally, when they were sure they were alone, they went back inside to watch the movie. When she finished, he sighed and slowly turned to her, his eyes filled with a strange mixture of sadness and guilt. "Probably just a reflection," he finally said, his voice barely a whisper. The year was 2016, and Rachel, a young woman from Pittsburgh, was looking forward to a relaxing 4th of July weekend. Her uncle, who lived on a remote farm in western Pennsylvania, had invited her and her boyfriend, Tom, to spend the holiday there. Suddenly, Rachel noticed something unusual, a faint flicker deep within the cornfield. At first, she thought it might be a reflection, like from the old water tank her uncle had mentioned earlier. But as they watched, the light appeared again, brighter now, and it seemed to be getting closer. Neither of them spoke, both mesmerized by the dancing shadows in the field. Then as quickly as it started, the light disappeared. The plan was to disconnect from the city buzz and just unwind in the peace of the countryside. On the first night, as the sound of distant fireworks filled the air, Rachel and Tom sat on the porch swing watching the darkness drape over the endless fields. The next morning, fueled by coffee and curiosity, determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Tom set up one of his wildlife cameras by the back fence the next day, hoping to capture whatever was causing the strange lights. An hour passed, then 2. Suddenly, the camera on the porch flashed. The next morning, unable to bear the suspense any longer, Rachel confronted her uncle. That night, Tom slept soundly, oblivious to the danger that lurked outside. Rachel, however, couldn't sleep. They left the next morning before sunrise.